Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Huge drama developing last night as the pros have seemingly decided to gentleman's agreement another item rather pettily and controversially so, to such an extent that even former pros such as Octane are saying the current state of the game is so stale and so vanilla, especially when it comes down to trying to break hardpoints, that it's going to be horrible to watch and to play. The pros refusing to try alternatives to the way the current meta is lining up. Slasher and others don't seem happy about it at all. Will the pros change their mind, especially if the community goes pretty hard on this one as we have seen in the past? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, I thought this is interesting from Clayster Gloves on the AR, because I don't really know what to use, to be honest. I put the assault ones on personally. Those are the ones that help you when you're jumping with jumping accuracy, which tends to do something. The marksman is what most people seem to use because that says flinch reduction, but I don't really know if it does much, to be honest. I think that even without the marksman, it's still seemingly okay. I think on the snipers, you want the marksman, but I don't know if on the ARs it actually makes that much difference, to be honest, but that's what most people tend to use. The quick grip as well, to be fair, if you're using trophies, that's probably quite useful. I know that Parasite even says that he uses the ordnance gloves because that helps you like throw things quicker as well, I think. So, I don't know, there's clearly a few options out there, but people are still trying to figure out exactly what the meta on that should be, and Lucky's discussing it as well. But there's certain things in the meta, and look, let's be honest, for these pros, there's a lot of things in this game that you've got to figure out how to use. There's infinite attachments, it seems, but let's be honest at this point, the pros have pretty much narrowed down a build on both the rival and on the MCW that pretty much everybody is using. So that's kind of set now, and it's on to the other things to resolve, and there are plenty of things to resolve, but the pros do not seem so keen necessarily to go and do that, and that's why gentlemen's agreements again come under the spotlight. Always at this time in the season, there's massive drama over GAs, and this year was no exception. So J. Cole comes out with this yesterday, one-word answer: does it make esports better or worse? Now, I don't think that this is... You can't really say straight up, does it make it better or worse? Because there's too many nuances to the situation. Gentlemen's agreements are done outside of the official CDL rule set for things that should, in theory, make the game play better. For example, getting rid of the Holger at the start of the game, although now that's officially banned, although they did nerf it and now it might not even be that good anymore. Or the MTZ, but some people are saying even maybe bring the MTZ back, because if we're going to have like 6 to 8 ARs anyway, there might as well be a bit of variety in the ARs that are being used right now, which also might be justified at the moment. So it's always a debate on this one. I think in general, gentlemen's agreements can be a good thing because the professional players are going to understand things that need to go or be removed or just don't make sense quicker than it's able to get put into the official rule set. But the problem is that the GAs they actually come up with aren't that good or, you know, that smart, or they don't make that much sense. For example, if you can actually gentlemen's agreement snaking, great, because snaking, you know, the mechanic that Cellium and Drazah and others like to do, and many other players, everyone's doing it at the moment, that can never really be banned in the official rule set. So if you could GA that, as has happened in the past, great, I think that's good for the game. But the problem is the things that actually do get GA'd and can be enforceably GA'd often don't make that much sense, and the things that aren't GA'd still kind of ruin the game. So that's where a lot of the drama comes from on this one, especially when the other day the smoke grenades were gentlemen's agreemented, but the pros weren't public about this. And this is actually very interesting, and I know that every year there's always suggestions as to whether, you know, I don't know, Nadeshot and TP and like some old school pros could form some sort of commission that would decide what was GA'd or not, because every year when this happens, you always think like, surely the CDL should get involved to some degree. Like, they have their official rule set, but the pros are just coming up in basically a group chat on Twitter DMs deciding what the rule set's going to be in addition to what's officially banned. And, you know, quite often we've heard leaks from that chat. Okay, how many teams have voted in favor of something? How many teams have voted against something? But this year, they've been rather secretive. I think mainly because they always get torched. Like, the community always roasts the pros whenever they ban snipers, which apparently they've done again. And same with the smoke grenades. So when this happens, nobody really tweeted about it. Nobody said, oh yeah, we've agreed to ban the smokes, because they know that they'll get backlash. And we actually saw, was it last year or the year before, the pros banned the snipers, and then Nadeshot, among others, was you know, pushing the backlash on that hard, and they eventually folded. And basically every year we've had a scenario where the pros have folded to community pressure over GAs. And I don't know if we're going to see the same thing again, but I wouldn't be massively surprised based on what we're going to discuss with the smokes here in a second. So yeah, this was a couple of days ago now, but there was all these tweets that were saying, yeah, they've kind of banned the smokes. And as Ben says, at least Luzi, who kind of is the GA commissioner in the European side, he at least tweets out when the, when the GAs are passed votes in Europe, whereas, there's no transparency from the CDL teams. And as I say, I think this is largely because they often get, bullied by the community basically into changing their mind. Now, yesterday we got another one, and that's all the attachments on the pistols, beside the improvement movement ones, are GA'd. Now, okay, this is another one of these GAs, such as the mandated red dot sight or whatever you want to use on the assault rifles, that I don't necessarily mind. Like, the intention of this GA, as far as I can, figure out, and as Ronnie says here, is more than likely to just try and stop the ARs being quite as strong, because right now, you can have an MCW, the knife is banned because that's too good, apparently, which it probably maybe is, to be fair, but it's not banned in the official rule set, of course, so that's another gentleman's agreement between what are certainly gentlemen who are making these decisions. And the pros can just use an AR with a pistol secondary, which is really strong, the Renetti, and therefore the rival becomes even more, the rival is even worse. The SMG is even worse because the AR just has a pocket SMG in the back pocket. So I get it, I get the idea. But at the same time, there's other things that are banned by the pros that really just, I don't see why they wouldn't at least try them. And this is when the smoke grenade discussion comes to the fore, because as Scump is about to say, I'll share the clip here in a second, and you'll also see from Shotzzy, some of the hills on this game just don't work. They're impossible to break. This is one example, P2 on Skid Row, which, as we're about to see here from Shotzzy, even if you've got the perfect setup for the break, it's almost impossible to actually pull it off. The most egregious example is possibly P5 Invasion, which is in the top of the mansion building, especially when there's a guy snaking the sandbags. Like, I just don't know what you're meant to do. I genuinely think the best attempt we have seen so far this year to break P5 Invasion has been when Dashy called in the chopper gunner, and even that nearly didn't work. So yeah, I'll share these couple of clips, and then we'll discuss what the pros could do about it.
Yeah, like the hard points, like, dude, Terminal, for instance, it's just all headies. Like, if you get out-rotated, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It is so hard.
There's not going to be this. Map.
Yeah, like that map, Skid Row. Like, dude, P2 on Skid Row is, like, almost unbreakable. And the P4 on Invasion is almost unbreakable. Like, or is it P5?
Are they doing Control?
Or P5, sorry.
They're doing Control, right? They're playing
Control?
Yeah,
they're playing Control. And Control, actually, people have been saying Control looks better than Hardpoint.
Really?
Yeah. Which is not good, because Hardpoint needs to be entertaining to watch, because obviously, like, Search is always going to be a staple. Like, people are always going to like watching Search, just because the stakes are high, you only get one life, all that good stuff. Their strategy, whatever. But, like, Hardpoint, that's like the dope hit, like, fast pace, see who's cracked, like, Control is kind of more of a slow, methodical, like, chess game.
Right here, whoever this guy is, blocks ticket. This is like a perfect world. Gunless gets the kill. In a perfect world, this guy literally cuts off like the people spawning, and we hit hill. That's like a perfect world. Because like then at that point we'll spawn in like deep alley. Like they'll spawn in depths. But since they get a close spawn, like bro, like I'm trying to find any type of way to not hit these stairs. Like look at this shit. That's one. Okay. Look, we're still getting kills. Like, oh my god, just look at this shit. Look how, like, bro, 3 near hill, and we just can't, like, there's just nothing we can do. It's just impossible. I'm getting dated and shit, like, look, me and Pierce literally, like, we're just, look at us. Hey, bro, look at this shit. All right, let's go back to the other feet too.
So even here from Kenny is another example of what could happen potentially over at that P2 Skid Row when, he's just jumping around the points. Now, what I wonder as well, if this point was in the bottom of the building, especially watching Shotzzy's clip, if the hard point was in the bottom, it would make way more sense. Like, you could get in, you could contest. right now, the fact that you have to go, get up top as well, it just makes it impossible to get up there because the guy can lay down on top and watch the stairs. Even if you do get down below, you still can't really come and contest. So it's an absolute nightmare to try and break. And if the hill was down low, then it would be easier to contest. And therefore, if you wanted to break, you can actually potentially jump up top and then come down the stairs and have the height advantage that way. So yeah, that's one of the changes, that if they just made it to the bottom of this building rather than the top of it, probably the game on this map plays significantly better, I would say at least. But that's just a theory, I don't know. But that's one of the things they might change, as we rumoured last night, in the early part of December, which they may or may not change. And if they do, then it could be a pretty big deal at that. But the main talking point is the way that a lot of these hills are set up, such as Terminal Burger Town Hill, which is very difficult to break, Invasion Mansion Hill, very difficult to break. The meta right now is very vanilla. Like, they get set up, people rotate at like 45 seconds to try and lock down these set to time. They get there early, they set up with their pretty much all MCWs, and yeah, they just get ready to go, watching the crosses, and there really isn't much you can do, as Octane says. Surely we're not going to watch CDL teams attempt to break Palace Hill on Invasion all year by using strictly gun skill, right? Drazah's like, okay, I'll chow that, I'll dry peek, rip you off sandbags first, nice try. But yeah, good luck with Drazah snaking it is all I'll say on that one. And that's when the point about smoke grenades has come into play. Because this would open up another opportunity. Like, people have been saying, oh wow, if only there was some sort of something in the game that would enable you to temporarily block off lines of sight to enable you to make these things happen easy. And also just, I think it adds more of a skill gap. If you put a smoke grenade in, it adds more of a skill gap on both sides, because the smoke grenade, if you're allowed one per team in the lobby, I mean, only allow one per team in the gentleman's agreement. That seems reasonable enough to me. It's not like this smoke is uncounterable. Okay, sure, there might be a bit of randomness employees with the one-ways in the smoke, since you can't really avoid that in cards, but I still think it'd be okay. And the trophy counters the smoke. The trophy just blocks the smoke. It's not like this smoke is impossible to destroy. Like, a well-placed trophy system will take down a smoke. And it adds another level of, I think, strategic depth, where a well-placed trophy will block a smoke grenade, which has landed to try and help a team break a hardpoint. But then, if a trophy is poorly placed, then maybe using DDoS, the field upgrade that Envoy has promoted on the other side, could temporarily disable that trophy. Then you can use the smoke to cross into the hardpoint. And I don't know, I think it adds an extra level of strategic depth, and the better teams that can use that. I think that's a better experience gameplay-wise than rotating at 45 seconds and locking it down is. Now, sure, as Jacob says, it is broken, and it always tends to, people find ways to break these hills, how to do it, stuff like this. But I think it would be a better experience if the smoke grenade was in the game, but the pros have decided that's not going to be the case. And as Octane reckons, that sure, in scrims it gets broken, but in matches, when people don't move as much, when there's more pressure on, then it becomes almost impossible. And people are concerned, and I totally get it, that the game this year is going to play super stale, and every map is going to look the same, basically, when everyone is trying to rotate, everyone is locking down the same time on these hills, and I'm sure it won't be as bad as that, but I can definitely see where they're coming from in this kind of analysis. So, as Jacob says, how I feel about the matches play different than Scrib's narrative, and Jacob maybe disagrees. Sorry, Pops, in all serious though, does a smoke really just not work or what? No idea how the convert even went this year, but smokes in respawn always lowers the skill gap and creates randomness. And sure, does it create randomness? I would say that always a smoke grenade, especially in these games, there will be some randomness inherently created. And as Octane says, the game needs some randomness, to be honest. The gameplay is going to put people to sleep if they're going to watch 8 ARs and 0 counterplay in the setups. Totally get that one. But as I've just explained, I don't think a smoke grenade would lower the skill gap as it presently stands. I think if anything, it would do the opposite in a lot of these hardpoints. But look, we don't know. We're, fans of the scene. The pro players know best, apparently, but often they don't. But the issue is, why don't they just try? This was the big debate that happened in Vanguard when the pros kept the sniper rifles GA'd. The community basically bullied the pros into at least using snipers for the kickoff tournaments because, people didn't think it was that much of a big deal. Turns out when they did approve snipers and actually use them, nobody really used them anyway, and they definitely weren't too strong. So this is what the pros, this is what the community is trying to get to happen now. It's like, look, guys, just use them in 8s. Just try one smoke grenade per per team in 8s and just see how it goes. Because the trophy can still counter the smoke. It's not like it's not like this thing is uncounterable, right? So, as Octane says, best way to break these hardpoints is to pull out a chopper gunner like Dashy did. And obviously, we saw this quote here from Slasher the other day, gained quite a lot of traction last night, when there's no gentleman left to make agreements with, and Slasher reckons that's pretty much bang on the money. And there were some further discussions here as well on, okay, obviously it's a Sha Madrid tweet, so you got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. And Slasher and Parasite have a bit of a discussion in the replies. But Haggy's point of view is that you just can't play this game the way that the pros are currently playing it. You've got to understand that there's a different set of rules that are going to work for this iteration of the title, and that might include changing the way things are currently done. But we're going to leave it there for today. Remember to tweet your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.